Today's the last presentation for the spring semester, and I'll be going over the exam review for the 1324. Okay, these are the topics that I'm going to cover. Okay, there's about 1, 2, 3, there's about 12 topics. Okay, to start off, we're going to start off with linear equations. Okay, but you can see the list of the topics that I'm going to cover. So let's begin with linear equations. Number 1, find the equation on the line passing through the points -2, 5 and -4, 6. Okay, so we need to find the slope and also the y-intercept. We want to put the equation in the form slope-intercept form, which is a y equals to mx plus b. Okay, so again, we need to find the m and the b, which is the slope and the y-intercept. The formula for the slope is m equals to y sub 2 minus y sub 1 divided by x sub 2 minus x sub 1. And that's the y-intercept form, y equals to mx plus b. So for the y-intercept, it's going to be b equals to y minus mx. Okay, it's easier than the point slope formula. Okay, now we have to find the 2 points, right? So the 2 points are given, which is -2, 5 and -4, 6, which means that my x1 is -2, my y1 is 5, my x2 is -4, and my y2 is 6. So all we do is plug them into the formula, and we do the basic adding subtracting. So on the numerator, which is a y's, right, we have 6 minus 5, and on the bottom, which are the x's, we have -4 minus -2, and the result will be -1/2. So I'm halfway there. I got my slope. Now I need to find the y-intercept. So we have to choose one point. It doesn't matter which one. Okay, we'll just choose the first one, which is -2, 5. Okay, but if you choose the second point, -4, 6, you get the same answer for the y-intercept. That means that my y is 5, my x is -2, and my slope is -1/2. So all we do is plug them into the formula, right? So it'll be b equals to 5 minus -1/2 times -2, and the result will give us +4. Why +4? Because -1/2 times -2 will give us a 1, right? But with this negative, with this minus, it'll be -1. So 5 minus 1 is equal to 4. Now, all I do is put them into the equation y equals to mx plus b. My slope is 1/2, -1/2, and my b, which is a y-intercept, is equal to 4. So the response that we're looking for is y equals to -1/2 x plus 4. Now, number 2 is finding the difference quotient. The difference quotient, the formula is f of x plus h minus f of x over h. Okay, so f of x plus h, right? I mean, we do it like in 3 parts. So this is the first part. We're trying to evaluate f of x plus h, which means I'm going to plug in x plus h for every x. Okay, which is for the x squared is x plus h, and then for the x by itself is x plus h. Now, what we do first, we're going to multiply the binomial by itself. X plus h squared is x plus h times x plus h. It's going to give us, right? It's going to give us, we'll do the FOIL. X times x will give us x squared. X times h will give us xh. H times x will give us xh. And h times h will give us h squared. Now we can combine like terms. So xh plus xh will give us 2xh. So the result will be x squared plus 2xh plus h squared. Okay, so we got that one. Now here I'm gonna distribute the negative sign there. So it'll be -x minus h. Right? -x minus h, and then we just bring in the 4. So the first step is to find f of x plus h, where we just did. Now comes the second step. I'm going to do the f of x plus h minus f of x. So the f of x plus h, we just found it, right? Which was x squared plus 2xh plus h squared minus x minus h plus 4. Minus my f of x is my original function, which was x squared minus x plus 4. Now here, the next step is to distribute, right? So we just bring down the f of x plus h. So here with a negative, I'm going to multiply -1 times x squared will give us -x squared. -1 times -x will give us a +x. And negative 1 times 4 will give us a negative 4. Now we get to combine terms. There's like a hint here, okay? Like a hint. Every term without an h has to be eliminated, or else we did something wrong with the algebra. For example, right, do we have an x squared? Yes, it's back here at the towards the end. We have x squared, so those will cancel, the x squared and the negative x squared. Do we have another xh with a term xh? Right, we don't. So the term that has an h has to stay, right? And the one that doesn't have an h has to cancel, right? So the x cancels with the x over here. Negative x and the x cancel, and the 4 and the negative 4 cancel. So every term that's left has an h in its term, which is 2xh. We have the h squared and minus h. Now here, to make step 3 easier, we're going to factor out an h. You see, every term here has an h in common, so we're going to factor it out. Now comes step 3, right? So it'll be the previous step, all over h. Now the h divided by h, right, is equal to 1. So this is a result, 2x plus h minus 1. And these type of problems, you will see them again when you take the next course, which is at 1325. Okay? This is the beginning of derivatives of the business calculus. Okay, now, number 3. It says the manufacturer's suggested retail price, the MSRP for a new Toyota Prius, is $25,035. And it is expected to be worth $14,115 in 4 years. So this is a three-part question. The first part is find a linear depreciation function for this car. And B is estimate the value of the car in 5 years from now. And C, at what rate is the car depreciating? So for part A, right, we need to find 2 points with the given information. When the car is brand new, right? When the car is brand new, right, it's worth $25,035. So when x is 0, the y is $25,035. Okay. So right now my second point, that's point 1. So it'll be 0, $25,035. Now the second point comes from the second information that's given, and it is expected to be worth $14,115 in 4 years. So in 4 years, the car is worth $14,115, which means the x is 4 and the y is 14,115. So that's my second point. Now we're going to do what we did on the first slide, right? Find the equation of the line, which we need to find the slope and the y-intercept. So the slope, right, is going to be y2. This is y2 will be 14,115 minus 25,035 over x2 minus x1, which would be 4 minus 0. So the result will give us negative 10,920 divided by 4 will give us negative 2,730. So this is my slope, the negative 2,730. Now to find the y-intercept, right, again, we use the same formula as before. The b equals to y minus mx. Let's use the first point, which is easier because we have a 0. The y is going to be, right, 25,035 minus my m is my slope is negative 2,730, and my x is equal to 0. So my b is 25,035. So all we do is plug them into the formula, right? Because we already found the m and the b. There's my result. So negative 2,730x plus 25,035. That's the answer for part A. Now for part B, it says estimate the value of the car in 5 years from now. So in 5 years, we're going to evaluate f of 5, which means I'm going to plug in 5 for the x. And then we just put it in the calculator, guys, and it's going to give us 11,385. So in 5 years from now, the car will be worth 11,385. Now for part C, at what rate is the car depreciating? That means the slope. What is the slope? The slope is negative 2,730. But you're not going to put negative because the word depreciating, it means it's already negative. So the answer will be 2,730. So the car is depreciating at $2,730 per year. That's the answer for part C. Now, number 4. It says find the vertex, axial symmetry, y-intercept, and x-intercepts of the function. The function is f of x equals to x squared plus 10x plus 9. Right, so here, guys, right, so to find the vertex, this is a formula for the vertex. The axial symmetry is x equals to negative b over 2a. If you notice, when we find the vertex, we also find the axial symmetry because the axial symmetry is the x part of the vertex. But since it's a line, we have to put x equals to negative b over 2a. Then for the y-intercept, guys, it's also very simple to see because without doing no work, the y-intercept is visible, which means whatever the c is, that's your y-intercept. But you have to write it as 0c because it's a point. And for the x-intercepts, it's either going to factor, and if you guys don't know how to factor, you must use a quadratic formula. Okay? But most of the times, it's easier to factor. Okay, now, so for the vertex, okay, we know that a is 1, right, and b is 10. So negative b over 2a will give us negative 10 over 2 times 1 will give us negative 5. So that's my x part of the vertex. Now to find out the y part of the vertex, we're going to evaluate the function f of negative 5 on the original function, which was x squared plus 10x plus 9. So we're going to plug in negative 5 for every x. This gives us negative 16. So the vertex is negative 5, negative 16. Now, for the axial symmetry, right, since we already found the vertex, this is very easy to see, right, because the x-vertex is, the axial symmetry is the x part of the vertex, which x equals to negative 5. That's my answer for the axial symmetry. For the y-intercept, it's also very easy to see, right? The c is going to be 9, so it's going to be 9. So the y-intercept is going to be 0, 9. Now for the x-intercept, we have to factor. So we let the function equal to 0, and we solve for x. This function can be factored as x plus 9, x plus 1 equals 0. If you guys don't know how to factor, right, I believe I did a workshop on the 3rd week of the semester. So go back to the 3rd week, and that's where I cover factoring. Okay. Anyway, we let both binomials equal to each other. So x plus 9 equals 0, and x plus 1 equals 0. Here we subtract 9 from both sides, so x equals to negative 9. And the right side, x equals to negative 1. So these are my x-intercepts. Negative 9, 0, and negative 1, 0. And then I believe they're going to ask you also to graph it. So to graph it, all you do is plot out the points and do your parabola. Now, again, guys, here we're going to do the same thing, but number 5 is in vertex form or standard form. Okay, this one, I think this is much easier to get the vertex and everything else than the other one, where the ax squared equals to ax squared plus bx plus c. I believe this is much easier because this is more, you can see things without doing no work. You'll be able to see the vertex, the axial symmetry, and then for the y and x-intercepts, it's minor algebra. Okay, that's my vertex hk. The axial symmetry is x equals to h. For the y-intercept, you let x equal 0 and solve for y. And for the x-intercepts, you let y equal 0 and solve for x. Okay, now the vertex here, guys, right? So the vertex is going to be negative 3, negative 16. Because if you notice, on the formula, right, if it's minus here, for the h, it's positive here. And the k is how it is. So in this case, if it's positive here, it's going to be negative over here for the vertex. That's my vertex, that's my x, and that's my y. So this one is just by looking at by observing the function, you'll be able to get the vertex. Now, once you find the vertex, right, the axial symmetry is x equals to h, which is x equals to negative 3. Now, to solve for the y-intercept, okay, the rule is, right, that we let y equal to 0. We let x equal 0 and solve for y. G of x is equal to y, okay? So if we do that, right, I mean, we can do this in our heads, right? Because 0 plus 3 is 3. 3 squared is equal to 9. 9 minus 16 is negative 7. But let's do the work anyway. See? But I got the answer after the second step here, where I plug in the 0 for the x, because the other work you can do it in your head. But if not, guys, well, you do all the work. So it's going to give us 0, negative 7. Now for the x-intercepts, we do the opposite. We're going to let y equal 0 and solve for x. So the first thing we're going to do here, guys, is we're going to add 16 to both sides because we're trying to isolate the x. So we do that, it's going to give us 16 equals to parentheses x plus 3 close parentheses squared. Now my next step, we're going to take the square root of both sides. Okay, I just put the x plus 3 on the left side and the 16 on the right side. Right, now the square root cancels the square. We have x plus 3 equals to plus or minus 4, because the square root of 16 is equal to 4. Now my next step, we're going to subtract 3 to both sides. So it's going to give us x equals to negative 3 plus or minus 4. So we have negative 3 plus 4 and negative 3 minus 4. So it's going to give us 1 and negative 7. So these are my x-intercepts, negative 7, 0, and 1, 0. Now, number 6, how do we use quadratic in real life? Well, here's an example. It is the revenue for McDonald's Corporation in billions of dollars for the years 2010 to 2015 can be approximated by the quadratic function r of x equals to negative 1 half x squared plus 13x minus 57, where x equals 10 corresponds to the year 2010. For the first part, it says find the vertex. Once you find the vertex, you also found the answer for part B and C. But we have to answer, we have to answer parts B and C's in terms related to this question here. Okay? So first, to find the vertex, right? There's a formula. So my A is negative 1 half or negative 0.5, and my B is 13. So plug them into the formula, we're going to get negative 13 over negative 1, which will give us positive 13. Now I need to find the y part of the vertex, so I'm going to evaluate the function at r of 13, which means I'm going to plug in 13 where the x's are. Then use your calculator, you're going to get 27.5. So my vertex is 13, 27.5. Okay. Now for part B, it says, oh, this is supposed to be in what year, not I what. In what year during this period was the revenue at a maximum? Okay, guys, so the x part will be the answer for part B, and the y part of the vertex will be the answer for part C. But we go back here, guys, where it says where x equals 10 corresponds to the year 2010. So if x equals 10 is the year 2010, then 13 must be the year 2013. Okay. So the answer will be in 2013 was the revenue at the maximum. Now for part C, what was the maximum revenue to the nearest $1 billion? So the y part of the vertex, the 27.5, is actually the maximum or the minimum. But in this case, it's going to be the maximum. And how do I know it's going to be a maximum? Because when the A is negative, right, here at the beginning, negative 1 half, it means it's going to be a maximum. If that was positive, it's going to be a minimum. In this case, right, because it's negative, it's going to be a maximum. So the y value was 27.5, right? But it says to round out to a nearest billion. So approximately it's going to be like $28 billion. So the answer for part A was 13 and 27.5 for the vertex. The answer for part B was in 2013. And the answer for part C, the maximum revenue, is 28 billion. Now for number 7, solve exponential equations. Okay, here guys, right here, we're trying to get the same base, right? 9 squared is equal to 281, not 27. So 9 and 27, they don't share a same base. I mean, because 9 is not 27 doesn't have a base 9. So we have to find the same base between 9 and 27, which will be 3. Because 9 equals to 3 squared, and 27 equals to 3 cubed. So in order to apply this formula, you must have the same basis, right? Now we apply the power rule here, right? Apply the exponent power rule. So when you have a power raised to a power, you multiply the power. So it's going to give us 3 to the 2x equals to 3 cubed. Now since we have the same basis, right, we did the exponents equal to each other. So x equals to 3 halves. That's my result. And you can always check your work, right? If you plug in 3 halves for the x's, just raise 9 to the power of 3 halves and it will give you 27. So I know the answer is correct. Okay. Number 8. The assets of billions of dollars for the Prudential Financial Incorporated can be approximated by the function AX equals to 315 e to the 0.056x, where x equals 7 corresponds to the year 2007. Find the assets for the following years. In the year 2000, right? So if x equals 7 corresponds to the year 2007, then x equals 0 must correspond to the year 2000. In a similar fashion, x equals 12 must correspond to the year 2012. So for part A, we're going to evaluate the function at 0, a of 0, which means what I would do is plug in a 0 for the x's. It's going to give us 315 times 1. The answer will be 315. But the answer is in billions, so it's going to be $315 billion. Again, this is good to know for the next problem, because when a equals to 0, or the function equals to 0, the 315 will be the initial value. Okay, and we're going to do something in regards to this formula when we get to the next slide. But in the meantime, let's continue with B. We're going to evaluate A12. We plug in 12 for the x's. We use a calculator. We get 616.8171575. Round it off, say, to one place. So it's going to be approximately $616.8 billion. That's how we use these type of functions. Now here's the one that I mentioned, that when t is 0 or x is 0, that's going to be my initial value. It says here, a deadly virus has infected the world. At the end of January, there were 2 cases, and by the end of April, the cases had grown to 128. It says A part, find the model of the form f of t equals to y naught b to the t power, with t equals 0 corresponds to the end of the month of January. And part B, if the trend continues, about how many people will be infected by the end of the year. So for part A, right, we need to find y naught and b. Okay, y naught is the amount present at time t, which y naught is your initial value. Right, so in this case, since t equals 0 corresponds to the end of January, my y naught is equal to 2 because there were 2 cases, right, when it started. Y equals to 2. Now, t equals 1 corresponds to the end of February, t equals 2 to March, t equals 3 to April, right? So for the second part, it says there were 2 cases by the end of April. The cases had grown to 128. Okay, so that means from there we're going to get our second point. Right, we're going to use the 3 and the 128. So f of 3 equals to 128 and y of 0 equals 2. That's what we need to find b. So 128 equals to 2b to the power of 3. That's where we get this point here, the 3 and 128. This is my y, and this is my t or my x. Now I divide both sides by 2. It's going to give us 128 divided by 2, which will give us 64. Now I'm going to raise both sides to the power of 1/3 to have b by itself. So the power of b cubed raised to the 1/3 power will give us b to the first power, which is just give us b. So b equals to 4. So we found the y naught and we find the b. So we plug it into the formula, right? My y naught is 2 and my b is 4. So this is a formula that we're looking for part A. Okay, now For part B, it says if the trend continues, about how many people will be infected by the end of the year. So from January to December is 11 months, which means we're going to evaluate F of 11. We're going to plug in 11 for the TS. So about 8,388,608 people would have been infected by the end of the year. This is actually, this problem, I got it really from during COVID, when there were 2 cases, back in Washington State. And I believe like 3 months later, it had grown to a 128 because I was watching the news and stuff. So I took this problem to my class so they can learn how exponential functions are used in real life. But we know that there weren't that many cases by the end of December because it was called interventions, right? For example, we use masks, we use hand sanitizers, and we use social distance. That's why there weren't that many cases. But say nature would have taken its course, this is how many people would have been infected. Approximately. Number 10, Gabriel invested his summer earnings of $3,000 in a savings account for college. The account pays 1.5 simple interest. What will be the value of the account after 2 years? And how much interest did he earn? Okay, so this is the formula for compound interest. So from here, guys, right, the FV is the future value, right? That's what we're looking for. Because it says here, what will be the value of the account after 2 years? So we're looking for the future value. So the present value is 3,000. My R is the interest rate, will be 1.5%. Converted to a decimal will be 0.015. And the time is 2 by 2 years, so it's 2. So we plug into the formula. And we use a calculator. So it's going to come like 3,090. So in 2 years, the account grew by $90. Right, so to find how much interest did he earn, we subtract the future value minus the present value to find the interest, which will be $90. Right, so the answer for the first part is $3,090. For the second part, how much interest will be $90. These are the answers for both parts. No, for part number 11, you deposit $9,000 in an account at your bank that pays 2.5% interest semi-annually. How much money will be in the account after 10 years? And how much interest did you earn? So this is going to be, the previous one, right? Now this is going to be a compound interest formula. Right, so this is easier to use in the calculator. So there's 7 things that we gotta find, right? But there's always one unknown. For example, what are we looking for here? It says how much money will be in the account after 10 years. So we're looking for the future value. The present value is how much money was invested, which was 9,000. My R is the interest rate, will be 2.5%. Convert to a decimal will give us 0.025. My M means how many times it's compounded, right? Compounded semi-annually, which means 2. It's going to be 2. The time is going to be 10. Now the I is R divided by M, will be 0.025 divided by 2, will give us 0.0125. And the N will be M times T, will be 2 times 10, will give us 20. So we plug them into the formula, right? Use a calculator. And it'll give us $11,538.34. That's how much money will be in the account after 10 years. Now, how much interest did you earn? So we're going to use the interest earned as future value minus present value. So this is what you ended up with in 10 years. And this is how much money you invested. So we subtract the 900 from the 11,538.34. So this is how much interest you earned, which would be $22,538.34. That's the amount of interest that you earned after you deposit $9,000 in an account. After 10 years, you earn $2,538 of interest. Now for number 12, solve by graphing. So here, guys, right, we want to graph both equations. Let's call it equation 1. My slope is 3 over 1, which means I'm going to go up 3 and 1 to the right from my b, which is my y-intercept. And I believe this was covered in, I think, in week 2, graphing. So this is my starting point, the 0, -6. So I'm going to start down here at the bottom. Then I'm going to go up 3 from the 0, -6, 1, 2, 3, and 1 to the right. There's my other point. And all we do is connect the dots or the points. That's my line. Now for equation number 2, it's not in proper form, right? Because we want to place it or rewrite it in y equals to mx plus b form, which is a slope-intercept form. So we're going to add 5x to both sides. So we get negative 2y equals to 5x minus 10. Now we divide both sides by negative 2. So we get y equals to negative 5 over 2x plus 5. My y-intercept is going to be 5, and my slope will be negative 5/2. So the b is, or the y-intercept is my starting point, which would be 0, 5, which is up here, 0, 5. Now from that point, we're going to go down 5 and 2 to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 2 to the right, 1, 2. There's my point. Now we connect the points, and we get our line. So the answer will be 2, 0, because that's where the points intersect, 2, 0. That's my solution. Now it says solve the system by elimination method. By elimination method, they both have to be in the form ax plus by equals c, right? Number 1 is not in that form. So I have to rewrite number 1 in proper form. So all I do is add 2y to both sides. This becomes x plus 2y equals to 19. This is my new, my equation number 1, rewritten in proper form. Now for the elimination method, you have to cancel the x's or the y's. In my opinion, it's easier to cancel the x's, which means I'm going to multiply the first equation by negative 4. Why negative 4? Because negative 4 times x will give us negative 4x. And then when we add it to 4x, they'll be eliminated. Okay? So we just bring down equation number 2 down. So we add them. So the x's are eliminated. We're left with negative 11y equals to negative 77. We divide both sides by negative 11. And we're going to get y equals to 7. When we have the y value, we're going to plug in the 7 for the y in either equation 1 or 2 and solve for x. Okay, so we can go there to the first equation, right? So it's easier to go to number 1 because the x is already isolated. So I'm going to plug in 7 for the y value, and it's going to give us positive 5. So what's my solution? My x is 5 and my y is 7. So the point is 5, 7. That's where both lines intersect. Okay, now number 14 is an example. How do we use solving systems of equations in real life? Here's a good example. It says a 200-seat theater charges $8 for adults and $5 for children. If all seats were filled and the total ticket income was $1,435, how many adults and how many children were in the audience? So solution, you need to find 2 equations. We're going to do seats with seats and money with money. So we're going to let x equals to adults and y equals to children. And there are a total of 200 seats. So it's going to be x plus y equals to 200. Now the money with money, right? So if adult tickets are $8 and x represents adults, so it's going to give us 8x. Since children's tickets are $5 and children is represented by y, so it's going to give us 5y. And what the total revenue was $1,435. That was my total income. So here's my second equation, right? 8x plus 5y equals to $1,435. So we found both equations. So we're going to solve it by the elimination method. Okay, we're going to get rid of the x's here. We're going to multiply by -8. And I can find -8 because -8 times x will give us -8x. And then when we add them, they'll be eliminated. We have to multiply -8 times every term. Okay? Because in mathematics, what you do to one side, you have to do to the other side of the equal sign. That will give us -8x minus 8y equals to -1,600. We'll just bring down equation number 2. We add them. It's going to give us -3y equals to -165. We divide both sides by -3, and the result is y equals to 55. We found our y, right? Now we go back and plug in the y, 55, for either equation 1 or 2. Whatever is easier for you. In my opinion, equation 1 is easier. Right, so we're going to plug in y for the for the 55 for the y. Right, so it's going to give us x plus 55 equals to 200. We subtract 55 from both sides. So x equals to 145. So the answer is x equals to 145 and y equals to 55, right? But that's not what they're looking for. They're looking for how many adults and how many children were in the audience. Recall from the beginning, right? If x equals to adults and y equals to children, then it's going to be 145 adults and 55 children that were in the theater. Now solving larger systems of linear equations. Now we're going to be solving with 3 variables, x, y, and z, and 3 equations. So here, guys, I'm going to call the first one equation 1, 2, and 3, right, and so forth. So here's the plan, guys. I'm going to get equations 1 and 2 and get rid of the x's. Right, so we have to get rid of the x's. So yeah, I'm going to multiply equation number 1 by -2. And again, -2 because -2 times x will give us -2x. And then when we add them, the x will be eliminated. So -2 times x minus 3y plus 2z equals 0 will give us -2x plus 6y minus 4z equals 0. Equation number 2, all we do is bring it over. Then we add them. It's going to give us 4y minus 3z equals 3. That's my new equation 2. Now, we're going to do the same process with equations 1 and 3. Right? We also have to get rid of the x's. So we're going to multiply equation 1 by -3. -3 times x will give us -3x. -3 times -3y will give us positive 9y. And -3 times positive 2z will give us -6z. Equation number 3, all we do is bring it over. Now we add them. And the x's are eliminated. So this is my new equation 3. Okay, now I'm going to get equations 2 and 3 with the new ones and get rid of the y's. So I'm going to multiply equation 2 by -10 and equation 1 by 4. Because -10 times 4 will give us -40 and 4 times 10 will give us positive 40. When we add them, they'll be eliminated. So -10 times equation 2 will give us -40y plus 30z equals to -30. And 4 times the new equation 3 will give us 40y minus 28z equals to 28. Right? And we add them, the y's are eliminated, and we're left with 2z equals to -2. So to solve for z, we divide both sides by 2. So z equals to -1. Okay, now here are my 3 equations. Right? That's equation 1. This is my new 2, and this is my new 3. So now I'm going to back substitute. So to find the value for y, we're going to go to number 2 and plug in the -1 for z and solve for y. We subtract 3 from both sides. So it's going to give us 4y equals to 0. We divide both sides by 4. So y equals 0. Now to solve for x, we go back to equation 1 and plug in 0 for y and -1 for z. My y is 0 and my z is -1. Right? We combine our terms here. Right? So it's going to give us x minus 2 equals 0. We add 2 to both sides. So x equals to 2. So I found my solution, which is 2, 0, negative 1. My x is 2, my y is 0, and my z is negative 1. So that's my solution. Okay, now, now we're going to be multiplying, now we're going to be adding and subtracting matrices. But here, guys, right, is going to be, the negative 4 is called a scalar. Here, guys, it means that we're going to multiply negative 4 times matrix A. Which means I'm going to multiply negative 4 times negative 2, negative 4 times 0, negative 4 times 5, and negative 4 times 3. It's going to give us 8, 0, negative 20, and negative 12. Now we're going to do 5 times matrix B. Matrix B is 0, 2, 4 is negative 6. So similar as part A, we're going to multiply 5 times 0, 5 times 2, 5 times 4, and 5 times negative 6. It's going to give us 0, 10, 20, and negative 30. Now for part C, we're going to be adding negative 4a plus 5b. We already got negative 4a, which was in blue here, right? And we already found 5b, which was in red. Now to add them, you can add the 8 plus a 0, 0 plus a 10, negative 20 plus a 20, and negative 12 plus a negative 30. So the answer will be 8, 10, 0, negative 42. That's my solution. Now for multiplication, first you have to check if you can do it. For example, matrix A, right, is a 2 by 3 matrix, and matrix B is a 2 by 2. If you notice, the two numbers in the middle must be the same in order to multiply them. That's why you cannot multiply A times B. Now, B times A, yeah, you can do it because B is a 2 by 2 and A is a 2 by 3. You see the two numbers in the middle, right? They match. So yes, we can do it. And the answer will be a 2 by 3 matrix, which is the outer. Okay, for step 1, I'm going to multiply the first row times the first column on matrix B. So 1 times 2 plus 0 times 4 will give us 2. The 2 goes in the first slot on the matrix, which is column row 1, column 1. Now second step, we're going to multiply the first row, again in blue color-coded, times the second column, which will be in red. 1 times 0 will give us 0. 2 times negative 2 will give us 0. So the answer will give us 0. And the 0 goes on the slot on the first row, second column. Step 3, we're going to multiply the first row times the third column. B1 times 5 plus 0 times negative 3 will give us 5 plus 0. The answer will be 5. So the 5 goes on the first row, third column. Right, so we don't have no more columns to multiply by. The first row times any more columns. So then it's the second row turn to multiply times every column. So all we do is repeat the process, but instead of multiplying by the first row, as we did at the beginning, we multiply by the second row. 4 times 2 plus negative 2 times 4. It's going to give us 8 plus negative 8 will give us 0. The 0 goes on the second row, first column. Now step 5. The second row times the second column. 4 times 0 plus negative 2 times negative 2 will give us 0 plus 4. The answer will be 4. So the 4 goes on the second row, second column. Now finally, the last step, we're going to multiply the second row times the third column, which is the last column. It will be 4 times 5 plus negative 2 times negative 3 will give us 20 plus 6. The answer will be 26. So that's my solution. Okay. Now we're doing sets. Okay. Number 18. I believe I'm going to go a little bit over 12 o'clock because this is an exam. and it's better to have more information than less. Okay, so now we're covering number 18. It says use the given information to find the following. Let U, which is a universal set, be the elements A, B, C, D, E, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Set X will be the elements A, B, 1, 2, 3. Set Y will be the elements B, D, 1, 3, 5. And set Z be the elements B, 2, 3. So we need to find, right, the complement, the little, it's called like apostrophe right on top, it means it's a complement or not X. So if X equals to A, B, 1, 2, 3, then the complement of X, you go to your universal set. And whatever that is, right, for example, is not A, nor B, nor 1, 2, 3. So you scratch this off. Not A, not B, not 1, 2, 3. Whatever's left is a complement of X, which would be C, D, E, 4, 5. Same thing with the set Y, right? So the complement of Y, or not Y, will be AC, E, 2, 4. There's my set Z. Right now, let's find X and Y, which means X intersects Y. What does X and Y have in common? The X and Y, they have in common a B, right? What else? A 1, they have it in common. And a 3. That's my result. For X union B or X or B, I mean X union Y or X or Y, I believe I did this PowerPoint like 2 weeks ago. And the union, like I mentioned in our PowerPoint, is you're going to write them all down, but you don't repeat them. Okay, so we're going to write everything in X first, right? Set X is A, B, 1, 2, 3. Now we're going to go to Y, the set Y. If it's already in there on the set, I don't write it again. Okay, so the Y is B, right? B is a B there already? Yes, so I don't write it again. The D, is a D there? No, so the D goes in there. The 1, is a 1 there? Yes, it is. Is a 3 there? Yes, it is. Is a 5 there? No, going, I mean, for the X, right? I mean, for the 5, and the 5 is not there, so we put the 5 also. So this is X union Y or X or Y. Union means same thing as OR. That's my result. Okay. But we'll put them in order from the alphabet in order, and also from the numbers, we put them in order. Now, the complement of X, right? We just found it over here, so it's going to be C, D, E, 4, 5. Now for part D, where does X and Y, where does a complement of X and the complement of Y intersect? Let's go over here at the right. Do they both have a C? Yeah, they do, right? So it's going to be C as part of my answer. Do they both have a D? No, they don't. Do they both have an E? Yes, they do. So an E. A 4? Yes, they do. A 5? No. So this is my result. The set with the element C, E, 4. Now let's do the complement of X intersects Z. So let's go, right now let's compare the complement of X with Z. Do they both have a C? No, they don't. A D? No. An E? No. A 4? No. And a 5? No. That means it's an empty set. Nothing in common. Right, so this is my solution, empty set, or the little 0 with a line over it means empty set. Now the last one for 18, which is X union parentheses Y intersects Z. So first, in this case, we have to follow PEMDAS, which is order of operations, even with the sets. So the first thing we got to do is do the parentheses. So what does Y and Z have in common, right? They both have in common a B and a 3. And that's it. Right, so now it's, I mean, the union or the OR. Remember with the OR, I mean, the OR guys or the union, you're going to put X first, right? You're going to put every element in X, which is A, B, 1, 2, 3. Now we go to the Y intersects Z. If it's already there, we're going to put it twice. But if it's not there, we're going to, put it down. Is a B there? Yes, it is. Is a 3 there? Yes, it is. So then this is my result. A, B, 1, 2, 3. Now this is number 19, is also related to sets. Here, guys, it says 60 people were contracted and responded to a movie survey. The following information was obtained. It says 6 people like comedies, dramas, and science fiction. 13 people like comedies and dramas. 10 people like comedies and science fiction, 11 people like dramas and science fiction, 26 people like comedies, 21 people like dramas, and 25 people like science fiction. So we have to answer parts A, B, and C, and D. For part A, we have to use a Venn diagram to illustrate the survey's result. So we have to construct a Venn diagram. Okay. So since there's three type of movies, right? So we're gonna have three sets. Okay, now the universal set is 60 because 60 people were contracted to respond to the survey. So let's do this, right? So let's call it C. Set C stands for comedies. This will be the set for C, comedies. And set D stands for dramas. Let's set this one over here on the right be the dramas, the drama set. And then let S be science fiction, so it'll be this one over here on the left. Now, how we start here, guys, is that we start where all three sets intersect, which is in red. 6 people like comedies, dramas, and science fiction, so it'll be this slot here in the middle. This represents that all the people like all the movies. Now we do the second part. 13 people like comedies and dramas. You see, guys, this symbol means and, which is a keyword is right here, and. That's what is C and D, which means how many do they have in common, right? It's 13. So C intersects D will be this area here. So this is already, right, this is supposed to be 13 right here. So that's 6 already, this is going to be 7. Where does comedy and science fiction intersect will be 10. So this area here, guys, comedies and science fiction will be this area here, right, for the intersect. So this is supposed to be 10. Since this is already 6, this has to be 4. And finally, 11 people like dramas and science fiction. So dramas and science fiction is this portion here where they intersect. There's 6 already, right? This has to be 11, so the missing spot here will be 5. Now, right, comedies, right? So the people that like comedies were 26. So all this area has to be 26. We already have 4, we have 6, we have 7, so this is 17. So 17 minus 26 will give us 9. And then 21 people like dramas. So we have 6 plus 5 is 11, plus 7 is 18. So we subtract 18 minus 21 will give us 3. And finally, 25 people like science fiction. So all this area here has to be science fiction, which would be 25. So we got 4 and 6 is 10, plus 5 is 15. So 15 minus 25 will give us 10. Now, are they all included? Let's find out. There's supposed to be 60 people total, right? So how many people were in the survey, but they didn't like none of the movies? But that's why it represents here by the X equals to how many people are out of the movies, but they were contracted. So we're gonna add the 9, the 7, the 6, and the 4, the 3, 5, and 10, right? So it will give us 44. So 60 minus 44 will give us 16. So 16 goes in the outside, right there, boom. Now this is the answer for part A, is your Venn diagram. Now for part B, how many people surveyed like comedies, but neither drama nor science fiction, right? So we're looking at the comedies. How many people like comedies? So all these people here, right? But it says that neither drama nor science fiction, so how many people like comedies, but not these right here, drama nor science fiction. So the answer will be 9. There's your answer, 9. How many people surveyed like dramas and science fiction, but not comedies? So how many people like dramas and science fiction, right? But not comedies will be right, these two here, but not the comedies, so not these right here. So the answer will be 10 plus 5 plus 3 will give us 18. And for part D, how many people like none of the movies will be 16, which was in the outside. Okay. And these problems come straight from the homework. Number 20. A single playing card is drawn at random from an NRE 52 card deck. Find the probability of drawing a queen, a diamond, a red of hearts, a red card, or a face card or an ace. So these are all the playing cards. There's 13 of each suit. there's 13 clovers, 13 spades, 13 hearts, and 13 diamonds. There's a 52. If you notice, there's a 26 black and 26 red. And also face cards. What are face cards? There's 3 face cards for each suit. You see there's three face cards of clubs, of spades, of hearts, and diamonds. Now let's answer the questions here. Okay, for N of S means what's the sample space, and N of E means the event. So the event, right, for a queen is going to be, how many queens are there? There's 4, because there's four, right? There's 1 of each suit, so it's 4. And what's my sample space? My sample space is 52. So it'll be 4 over 52. The answer will be 1 over 13, right? You have to simplify it. For part B, a diamond. There's 13 diamonds, so it'll be 13 over 52. The answer will be 1/4. Right, a red card. A red card. There's 26 red cards, so it's going to be 26 over 52, which would be 1/2. And finally, a face card and an ace. How many face cards are there? It's going to be 12, right? 12, because there's 3 on each suit, so it'll be 12. How many aces? 4. So 12 plus 4 over 52 will give us 16 over 52, which rounds off to 4 over 13. That's my solution. Number 21. Suppose 2 fair dice are rolled. Find each of the given probabilities. Right? So for part A, right? So this is a formula that we're going to use. It says let A represent the event that the first die shows a 2, right? And let B be the represent that is a 6 or a 7, right? So for A, right? So for A, the first die is a 2, right? It's going to be here in red, right? You see the first one's a 2, 2, 1, 2, 2, 2, 3, 2, 4, 2, 5, 2, 6. So event A is a 1 highlighted by red, which is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's going to be 6, right? I mean, the sample space is 36, but for the event of A is going to be 6. Now for the event of B, which is 6 or 7, is going to be 11, because we have all these add up to 6, which is 5, 1, 4, 2, 3, 3, and 2, 4, and 1, 5. And 7 will be the 6, 1, 5, 2, 4, 3, 3, 4, 5, 2, 5, and 1, 6. If we add all these, it's going to give us 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So here's my formula, right? So we're looking for, right? This means, right, the keyword here, guys, is or, which is right here. The first die shows a 2, or the sum of the results is 6 or 7. The or means the union. So the probability of A will be 6 over 36. The probability of B will be 11 over 36. And where do they have in common, or where do they intersect, will be right these two here. Right? Will be the 2, 4 and the 2, 7. So it's going to be 2. So minus 2 over 36, and the result will give us 15 over 36, which can be reduced to 5 over 12. That's the probability. Now for part B, right? The sum is 11, so the sum is 11 will be right here. Right? Again, that's 11 will be A. And the second part, the second die is a 5, right? Which will be this one here, right? The second one's a 5 will be this one here, the 1, 5, 2, 5, 3, 5, 4, 5, 5, 5, and 6, 5. So it's going to give us 6. Now, where do they intersect? Will be right here where the red and the blue intersect. Will be 1. We plug into the formula. P of A is 2 over 36. P of B is 6 over 36. And A intersects B will be 1. So the answer will be 7 over 36 is your solution. Number 22. I believe we have 2 more slides to go. For many years, the state of California used 3 letters followed by 3 digits on its automobile license plates. Okay. So no, 26 letters are in the alphabet, and 10 digits make all the numbers. So these are my letters, and these are my digits. So how many letters are in the alphabet? 26, right? So here, guys, there's no restrictions. It'll be 26 times 26 times 26. And for the digits, there's 10, so it'll be 10 times 10 times 10 because there's no restrictions. You multiply them out, and you get 17,576,000. Now for part B, when the state ran out of new numbers, the order was reversed. 3 digits followed by 3 letters. 3 digits followed by 3 letters, right? And again, there's no restriction. They were just flipped. So it'll be 10 times 10 times 10, and 26 times 26 times 26. You multiply it out, and we get the same solution as for part A, 17,576,000. Now for part C, several years ago, the number described in part B were also used up. The state then issued plates with 1 letter followed by 3 digits, and then 3 letters again. So there's my letter provided, right? And then 3 digits and 3 more letters. So it'll be 26, 10 times 10 times 10, 26 times 26 times 26, and we multiply them. They're going to give us 456,576,000. Imagine, guys, by adding only 1 more letter for the plates, right? It went up like almost 440 million. That's how many one letter made that much difference. Now for 23, guys, right? They're talking about permutation and combinations. These are the clue words for permutation will be arrangement, schedule, order, or order matters. For combination will be group, committee, set, sample, or order does not matter. 23, a lottery game requires that you pick six different, I forgot to put here numbers, 6 different numbers from 1 to 99. If you pick all winning numbers, you win $4 million. And how many ways are there to choose 6 numbers if the order is not important? So solution, right? So for part A, is not important, will give us a combination, which means it's going to be AND CR, which would be 99 combination 6. And the answer will be 1,120,529,256. This can be put into the calculator, guys, so you can do it by hand. I believe I did this in last week's PowerPoint. Okay, for part B, right, it says order matters, so it's going to be a permutation, which would be 99 P6, which will give us 808,781,064,320. Anyway, guys, here what you have to know, guys, are the clue words to see if it's a permutation or combination, and these words will always be there in the problem. Okay, now let's continue with the same. In exercise 59, if you pick 5 out of 6 numbers correctly, you win $5,000. And how many ways can you pick exactly 5 out of 6 winning numbers without regards to order, which means combination? Okay, so to pick 5 out of 6, right, it's going to be 6 combination 5. Right, but remember, in the lottery, you have to pick 6 numbers out of 99, but we only pick, there's only 5 here, which means we need 1 more, right, to give us a 6, and we need 93 more, right, to give us a 99. So it's going to be times 93 combination 1, right? So we're going to multiply these out. So 6 combination 5 will give us 6, and 93 combination 1 will give us 93. We multiply those out, it's going to give us 558, right? Now, this is the last one now. It says a financial advisor offers 8 mutual funds in high risk category, 7 in moderate risk category, and 10 in low risk category. An investor decides to invest 3 high risk and 3 high risk funds, 4 moderate risk funds, and 3 low risk funds. How many ways can the investor do this? Okay, the solution. So order does not matter, right? I mean, if you read the problem carefully. So from the 8 high risk, they want 3. So it's going to be 8 combination 3. From the moderate risk, there's 7, and they want to invest in 4. So it'll be 7 combination 4. And finally, right from the low risk, there's 10, and you want to invest in 3. So it'll be 10 combination 3. If we use the 8 combination 3, it will give us 56 in the calculator. 7 combination 4 will give us 35, and 10 combination 3 will give us 120. So we multiply all those numbers. So 56 times 35 times 120 will give us 235,200. And that's the last problem for this exam review, I believe. Yes, it is. Let me go back to the host. That way they can tell you more information about what's coming up in future events. Thank you, Gemma.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sassi, for your wonderful presentation. We do want to remind everybody about the previously recorded sessions, which are available on the YouTube playlist. This session will also be available on that playlist later today. And before we end the session, I want to share the TVE sessions that we'll have next. So at 1 p.m. today, we will have our last TVE presentation for spring 2025, Hack the Border by Dr. Christian Servin. And we will be back with Happy Math Hour and our special topic TVEs in the summer. So look out for that TVE schedule for those neat sessions. Thank you all for coming in today, and we hope you all have a lovely weekend. And the TVE team will all want to wish you good luck for finals next week. If you have any questions, feel free to use the chat box or your mic, and we hope to see everyone again for Happy Math Hour.